Greetings, I'm Hondo, and this is my review of the Jad Freer Domino pedal power supply. Power supplies don't make any sound, so there's going to be a lot of talking in this one, just FYI. So the spec sheet on the Domino is pretty nuts. I'm fairly certain this is the most powerful pedal supply unit you can get. You can get any number from 2 to 14 outputs, and on each one of those outputs there's 1600 milliamps of current available, which is more than a lot of bass players I know need on their entire board. If you need to mix and match voltages, you can customize, so you can have maybe 4 9 volts and then a couple of 12 volts, or maybe one 18 volt and a bunch of 9 volts. They don't offer the single outputs with switching voltages like some other brands do, so I know that'll be a con for some people. Personally, I don't like that because it tends to make me almost fry some of my 9 volt pedals because I leave the switch in the wrong place. So I prefer to have the individual voltages, but that's totally up to you. And the last thing is that this pedal does have a fan, but it is super duper quiet, and I haven't really noticed it in any of the settings that I've used it in, which is included recording in pretty quiet spaces and playing out live in pretty quiet spaces. So Jad Freer Audio sent this Domino over to me to check out, and I immediately put it on this monstrosity of a pedal board. I had this thing wired up by Caulfield Cables, by the way, who are awesome. I'll put a link for them down in the description. But as you can see on this board, I have a Neural DSP Quad Cortex, a Line 6 HX Stomp, and a Hologram Microcosm, and just those 3 units, not counting any of the other stuff that's on the board, need around 5,000 milliamps to run, and that's more than a lot of power supplies can handle already. So I've been carrying this thing around in the Temple Audio soft bag that you can get for the Trio 28, and it's been knocked around. I'm a little bit too short to carry this thing with one hand up a flight of stairs, so it's like bounced off of a couple of lips of stairs on the staircase, and it's had various different types of fluids spilled on it, and there hasn't been so far as a hiccup with this thing. From the moment it got installed on the pedal board and I started plugging pedals in, I haven't really had to think about it again, and I think that's exactly the way a power supply should work. It should just do the job, and then you never have to think about it. And like I mentioned earlier, even though there's a fan on this unit, I never noticed it come on. So basically my impressions for how the thing functions is it's basically perfect. So now you know the specs are crazy, and it definitely does a job it's supposed to do. So let's talk about the value proposition. I think that Jad Freer Audio is aiming for the Domino to be kind of like a supercar of the pedal power supply market, and for that reason you do pay a little bit of a premium. As an example, if you compare the Ciox DC7 to a 6 output Domino, the Domino's around $100 more expensive depending on what's happening with the euro and the dollar at the time. And I know a lot of people hear that and they'll say like, oh man, that's overpriced. But if you start comparing the specs of the two units a little bit closer, I think things will get a little bit clearer, so hear me out. For argument's sake, let's use the Ciox DC7. On that pedal, you get 7 outputs and approximately 4,900 milliamps of maximum current, and you only get that if you don't use any of the outputs at a higher voltage than 9. Then if you compare that to the Domino with 6 outputs, you're getting around 9,500 milliamps of current. And even if you choose to have some of the outputs to be 12 or 18 volt, you still get over 9,500 milliamps of current. So when you think about how the two different units are priced, it's not like they both do the same exact thing and one's more expensive. If you get the Domino, you're actually paying more for way more current. I think it's maybe like a 30% price increase for 100% more power almost. So then the question of value is around, do you need the power? And if you are somebody like me that wanted to build a board around a quad Cortex, then the answer is absolutely yes. I think this is the best power supply you can get for running a quad Cortex. And actually in the conversation that I had with Jad Freer, they can actually make a unit that has one 12 volt 3000 milliamp output, so you can just run one power cable to your quad Cortex and be done, which is ridiculous. But for everybody else, if you're putting the board together, you can really answer that question about whether it's worth it or not. The one thing that I would recommend is to take some time and look at the pedals that you're using to see what the combined current requirement is going to be, and then compare it against what the Dominoes can provide. I think you'll be surprised at how many pedals a 2 or 3 output Domino could run. Now, power supplies are cool and all, but you definitely need some pedals if you want to have any fun. So click one of these 2 videos if you would like to check out a pedal that I would personally recommend. And don't forget to check the description below for links to my socials and to the Discord. I highly recommend coming and hanging out. But that's it for this video. I hope you're staying happy and staying healthy. And until the next one, take it easy.